Tuning into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers. There you guys are. Hi. Thank you so much for joining us for the finale of Marco Polo Season 1, The Heavenly and the Primal. Please check us out at youtube.com/AfterBuzz and find us on SoundCloud and iTunes and join in the conversation. We will be gone for a while, but we'll be back for Season 2.
This is the time.
Yes. I am your host, June Lee, and you guys can find me on Twitter at ms_June Lee.
I'm Katie Wilbert, and you can find me at Katie Wilbert on all things.
I'm Michael Andrew. You can find me on Twitter at Michael_Drew, Michael EAL, and on Instagram, Michael Drew straight across. Straight across.
When you said on all things, I thought that was the name of a show for a second. I was like, oh, that's a great show title.
I mean, I'll work on writing that show, but in the meantime, it's just all things social media.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so what did you... Wow. Season finale, way to go out with a bang, right? What did you guys think?
I think that it was better than I had anticipated it to be.
Me too.
And
they really, really, like, wanted to go out with a bang.
They did. And then they also really set it up for what's going to happen next season, which is great. And yeah, I think it's nice to already have a direction, and it makes it better as an audience member to get excited and be like, no, I need to see the next episode now.
Absolutely.
And that's how I felt about this episode.
Yeah, and we kind of don't get that, right, with Netflix shows, because we kind of get everything, you know, at once. And so I think it's nice when we have an opportunity to kind of like wait and anticipate and get excited. You know, it builds anticipation. I don't know.
It was the best episode of the year. Like it was the best. Like
Absolutely.
From the fight scenes to the little reveals.
Absolutely.
To the, everything. It was just really, it really got me. The
I
acting was good.
know.
Oh my God.
I'm so glad I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I did notice like all of those those tight shots, those face shots, you know, Kublai's reactions, Marco's reactions. We'll get into that as we go, and I do want to talk about, you know, predictions and stuff like that towards the end, because you know, like you said, Katie, like they're really kind of setting it up, and yeah, that's going to be really exciting to talk about. So let's jump in. So
let's go.
We open with Marco on the field, and he is, you know, working with the engineer to get the catapult ready and stuff like that, and it's not going very well.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, Marco is obviously sweating. He
sweats the whole episode.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would be too, though.
The stress, he looked stressed from start to finish.
That's a lot of pressure, though, because someone just gave his life for him to be alive and be in the position of making a perfect trebuchet. And if he doesn't, I mean, the Khan is watching over his back, being like, so...
Yeah.
Like, he has the entire weight of the country on his shoulders.
But they didn't touch on Yusuf that much, and I was expecting them to touch on Yusuf a little bit more.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, he's been such a big part of the show, and then he just gets, you know, dies the last episode by calling himself a traitor. And he just gets mentioned once. Like, Kublai just says, well, he sacrificed himself for you, don't mess up. And that's it. No one else speaks about it.
Beyonce mentions it very, very briefly. But
well, to me, it felt like energetically it was there. You know what I mean?
I think so.
Like, in the tension, in the fact that Kublai, like you said before we started, that Kublai really was kind of just out of it and just really unsure and just really didn't feel grounded, you know? He was just kind of lashing out at everybody.
I felt like it was a really unstable Kublai, which makes sense because he was so betting on their first attempt taking over working, and it didn't. So but I think that was something I noted about him this episode, was that he is a very emotional character who's very led with his heart and not with his mind, which I think is so opposite of Jia Sedao. And even the way they present both of them in this episode, you really see that. You see Kublai being so emotional and making really rash emotional decisions, and then you see Jia Sedao being so calculated. And I think it's really interesting to see that difference of someone being led with their heart versus being led with their mind.
Right.
Yeah, you see a lot of the rage in his first few. You go from last week, him, we were all calling him the puppy dog. Oh, you weren't here for that. He was. We were going, and he was in full puppy dog depressive.
Completely.
Then this year, and then this episode, he was just full on angry, screaming, and he was just on edge.
Yeah, he was on edge.
Like a tantrum.
He was throwing tantrums.
Well, I mean, it's incredibly that's a lot of pressure. You know, he's on a lot of pressure, and everyone's telling him different things. Well, actually, not really, because everyone's kind of saying, "Don't do this," right? But let's kind of go in order. So, after we see Marco in the field, we're back in Kublai's court, and Kaidu, kind of steps up and says, I'm with you, but the thing is, the past 2 battles that you've been using my men haven't gone so well, and I've lost 2 sons, and my men kind of feel uneasy about, going under your banner, I want to lead them, which I think is fair.
Yeah.
I felt like it was totally very fair.
Yeah.
It was very fair.
It just shows you how deep, what we were just saying before about him being on edge. But it escalated so quickly.
Yeah.
It escalated so fast.
But I mean, it is like a big deal to kind of say, I don't want you to lead my men. I want to lead my own men. That's a big deal, because technically, they're all Kublai's men. You know what I'm saying? So by him saying that, he was challenging that.
Well, I think he even tried to use it, though. He opens his statement by being like cousin and not Khan. I think he was trying to appeal to him on a different level of listen, I want to help you, but also I can't have you keep getting my men all killed.
Exactly.
And it's
he said what he said. He said he lost 2 sons.
Yeah.
That's a
I know,
huge
that's a lot.
thing.
Absolutely.
And Kublai's like, really, bitch?
Yeah.
Out with you?
Yeah.
It was so quick.
I know.
You see him just be like, fine, we'll be banished to the north. If that's what you want, you're an idiot, but fine.
And he kept correcting him. Every time he said, our men, my men. Okay, your men.
Fine, your men, okay,
my horses,
fine.
My horses. And he's like, all right, you're right, cousin.
Right.
Right.
But I mean, it did escalate very, very fast. And, Kutalin was like,
you just see
whoa, what is going on? Biamba.
He's just watching I'm about to marry this guy's about to be my father-in-law. Let's everyone relax. Everyone chill out.
Poor Biamba.
This guy can't catch a break.
I felt bad for him this episode because, I think it's interesting. I guess we can kind of quickly talk about this.
Yeah, let's get our Biamba on. I love that guy.
Because, but this kind of goes into how they're setting up a season 2. Yeah. So it looks like there's going to be pockets of people who challenge Kublai. So you have, obviously, Ahmad and Meilin, which is crazy, right? But I also feel like Biamba and Kutalin and Kaidu might.
There's something there.
I think so.
I think the problem with anytime someone overtakes a territory is that now your old threat is gone, and you've got a bunch of new threats who would love to overtake the wall and be where you're at. And I think when you piss people off like that, you will naturally form an enemy because of his emotional states. I think that, I don't know what's going to happen with Biamba, but I think he's made a choice, obviously, and I'm not sure that he had much of a choice because they'd been banished and he has to go with his wife. But I also feel in the latter half of the episode, he feels like there's no reason for him to stay anymore. I think there's a couple moments that he's waiting to be to have a reason to stay. And he's not finding one. And I think he's now found a new alliance. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with him.
Well, do you think that everyone's going to go for, wall city. I don't think that's what's going to be.
I don't think eventually.
I think
not
people
initially,
will.
So
like at the start
everyone's
of
moving
2.
out in that direction. Is that what was that the deal?
So everybody's moving to the wall city because that's where Kublai is.
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is Akhman and Biamba and all those guys are going to fight over Kambulak, which was where they were before they moved into the wall city.
I see.
You see? That's what I think is going to happen. But anyways, we can keep that.
I was just going to say real quick that I think the reason he was so rude, one of the main reasons he was so rude to Kaidu was because he's fully aware that guy's because they said that he's second in command technically. Like if something happens to Kublai, he's going to take over. Yeah, that's what they said. That's what Biamba said. So I think he was kind of wary of him looking so strong, because if he looks so strong, he might say he does, because right now he can't trust anybody. So if this guy looks
why wouldn't Jingham be? I think Jingham would take over.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing that's if they both die.
Oh, I see. If Jingham, but yeah, then why wouldn't Kublai want Kaidu? Who else would he want to take over?
That's the thing. I think it was just a really emotional decision. I don't think much thought
he's not
was
trusting
really
anybody.
Going
and if this
into
guy
it.
if he looks strong, and his men trust his opinion more than Kublai's, and then say he betrays Kublai, he might lose half his army. I just think that a lot of that was going on in his head when he made that decision.
What do you mean? I'm not sure I understand.
Well, because all right, so remember he still doesn't know who to trust.
Kublai.
Right? Kublai still doesn't know who to trust, because he still technically don't know who betrayed him. Even though Yusuf took the blame, everyone knows it wasn't Yusuf.
Oh, I see.
So so now Kaidu's trying to kind of not usurp his power, but trying to lead the wants to lead his army.
I think Kaidu just wanted to do what's best for everybody.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I know, but in Kublai's mind, Kublai's like, I can't. No, just do what I want you to do. And when he said no, like, all right. I can't have you usurp me in front of people and look good, because then if there is a separation,
I feel like there wasn't even that much thought.
I don't think so either.
He was just gut reaction. He just wants whole episode.
Like, it's kind of like anybody. It's human nature. When you feel like you're threatened, when you feel unsure about things, you want to control everything. That's just how people are naturally, right? When you feel like things are out of your control.
Yeah, and when you feel like everyone's ganging up on you, and you have enough people
like he's losing he's losing the battles. He feels like everything is out of control. So when you feel like things are out of control, it's like natural for you to want to kind of overcompensate and try to control every little thing and kind of micromanage.
I could be overthinking it.
Maybe.
I could just be right, and I could be being usurped right here.
I know it's not like right or wrong. We're just saying.
I think I'm right.
Okay, you're right. All right,
but
moving
you see
on.
that with the Khan when he invites the priest and he's sitting with the Empress, and the priest says, you shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
You shouldn't go to war because you're going to upset the balance between the heavens and the primal. And the priest is like, my sticks are telling me no. Like, you invited me here to...
My sticks.
The
you
sticks
see my
are
sticks?
very accurate.
The sticks don't lie. What is it? The I Ching, right? The I Ching doesn't lie. But when the priest said that, the harmony between the heavenly and the primal will never be, that it will be offset. I didn't necessarily feel like that was like a bad thing. I feel like that can be interpreted in many different ways, and I think that's what was going through Kublai's mind, because that would be going through my mind also. It's like, if I conquer the wall, there is no harmony. Harmony is like, we work together. If I conquer, if I win, there is no harmony. I won. You know what I mean? Like, it's mine.
But I think that's the thing about conquering, is once you conquer, people want to conquer you. Kind of what I was mentioning earlier is that, like, there is no like, for the person who wants to try and overtake an entire country, once you do, like, it's that thing of people want what they can't have and stuff. I just think he's opening a big can of worms, in that, yes, what a great goal to conquer and accomplish this goal, but it's also naive to think that once he does, he's just got it and he's in the city. And like, I think that's the thing, is once you move forward with that, you have to accept that more war will probably come, because now you're the head honcho and people are going to take what you have.
Well, and also you guys have to remember that, Kublai doesn't want to stop in China. He wants to go to to the West.
True.
So it's not like he's even like, you know, oh yeah, everything is good. He wants to keep going, you know, and
which does mean more war and
yeah,
less harmony.
exactly.
I think it's like a ripple effect, and I think other people are seeing this like, cool, yeah, like get your dream, but also like maybe we stop there, but like we know you're not, and so it's. That's what Yusuf kind of a whole thing. It's like a slippery slope, but do what you're gonna do, I guess.
That's what Yusuf said. Yusuf said the more you, it's never enough. You're always trying to conquer something. He goes, what's wrong with just living here? What's wrong with just stay here at your kingdom?
Right.
He's like,
absolutely.
no.
That's why he was such a good minister of war, because he had so much wisdom to try. Yeah, it's a bummer
he was trampled by horses. Yes.
But so I feel like the priest wasn't really telling Kublai anything that Kublai didn't really know. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't enough. Like he didn't say something enough where he really felt like, okay, maybe this is not the right way to go. Yeah. But I mean, this is the first time we really see him kind of not take Chabi's advice, which I think is worth noting, because Chabi, and it was this really weird thing because like she kind of understood. It's almost like if you have you guys ever like dated like an artist, you know?
No.
And like, but like, you know how like artists can be very tough on themselves and they're kind of tortured, but like it's like this kind of love and hate relationship with their art. Yeah. And like as a person who loves that person, it's like you have to accept them for who they are because they're an artist. That's who they are.
So tell us more about this. When was this? Last year?
No, I'm just saying. Well, not speaking from personal experience. This is just what I'm thinking, right? But
what's up with you?
But it was kind of like, didn't it kind of feel like that? She was like, you know, I get it. I don't think like I want to help you. Like, kind of like put this greed and put this hunger away, but I also get
maternal
that
to me, in the way of like your son is in his 40s and he's, you know, well into his way of life, and you can give advice, but if he doesn't want it, he's not going to take it, but he's still going to want to like snuggle with you and get some mama love. Like that's what it felt a bit like to me.
His forehead
him being bosom. Like, Mom, like I don't want to listen to you. Like, yes, you're smart, but I'm older now and I'm doing my own thing. Okay? And she was like, okay, so baby, I love you. Like, I'm here. Okay, Mom, like hug me. Like that's what it felt like. He just, to me, is such a angry, greedy child in this episode. And even when he gets what he wants, you still feel like he's not quite happy. Like he's still sort of like, yeah, I got the toy I wanted, but like
I want another toy. I want the bigger toy.
Totally.
Absolutely.
I love his freakouts because I love his accent. I was like, you know, I respect you, Chabi, but still, I'm
like
pissed.
I'm not at war with my empress. I am at war with southern China.
I know.
But I think going back to Chancellor Zhao Shidao and his relationship with the emperor, the little kid, you know, the baby emperor, I think it was very interesting.
When he hugged him?
Yeah.
That was kind of cute.
That was very nice cute. Moment.
That was a nice moment. And
it humanized him in a way I've yet to see until that moment. It opened him up a little, and you were like, whoa, for that 1 second, I don't want you to die. Just for that 1 second, because it makes it feel like
do you think he was scared? Do you think he knew that he lost at that point?
I don't know.
I think so. I mean, when he hugged the kid?
When the kid hugged him, right?
I don't know. I think he's kind of stubborn. I think he didn't realize it till he met Marco, and he was just like, all right, I'm gonna go out fighting. I guess.
I don't know. At that moment, I thought, like, I'm just being like devil's advocate all the way here to this episode, which is okay. Yeah. You can leave the finale on a passionate note. Yeah. I don't know. To me, it kind of felt like the Chancellor, because when what do you call the person who's like telling the Chancellor, updating the Chancellor? What's that guy's name? I never got that guy's name throughout the whole season.
Let's call him VP.
Okay, VP. Yeah. So the VP is updating the Chancellor on what's going on. They broke through the wall, or they're assaulting the wall. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was a close up where Chancellor Zhao Shidao is pouring the tea and he spills the tea. So at that moment, I was like, he knows he's going down.
I felt the same way.
Yeah, he knows he's going down, and that was before he hugged the kid and all of that happened.
That's
so
true.
To me,
that's
I felt
really
like
good to know, because they always do close ups on his hand. And he's so meticulous with his handwork.
Together.
So to spill his tea is like really
He had a tremor.
You know,
he had a tremor.
When you think about it, he's not really that bad. Zhao Sidao.
See the hug moment.
You know, but I'm thinking about it.
This whole season, we're like, oh my god, what a monster, what a sociopath. Like, he's so bad. Oh, no redeeming quality.
The hug
that one hug.
everything.
That one hug changed
I dislike
everything.
Jing'an way more than I dislike this guy. Because when
Really?
aside from breaking the girl's foot, was there really any other thing he did?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he shot the.
There were plenty of
So many things.
terrible
Mei
things.
Lin, he ripped a mother away from her daughter.
Oh, yeah,
He
but-
prostituted his own sister.
Well, she was prostituting before when they were kids. She started it
But
off.
but that was because like no, they were on their own. She had to do that. You know what I mean? And she was taking care of him, and he's the older brother, right?
But the kid hugged him. You know what I mean? Hurt my heart.
I think that's the interesting thing
the heart of a
about
thug.
children in any show is that they bring something that I honestly think adult actors struggle to find, and it's that like tenderness and innocence and like purity, and especially like purity of intention too.
Yeah.
So when a child hugs someone, you don't go like, why are they hugging them?
Right.
You know why they're hugging
Right,
them. You see
right.
it, and I think it's really interesting to see that change someone, and I feel like you saw that with Zhao Sidao, and I think it was important to see, especially if this is the episode where we say goodbye to him, to sort of see his full roundabout color as a character and go, that was a person and not just the idea of a person.
Right. No,
That's cool.
absolutely.
Even in his I mean, I could say this, but even his final scene, he was still kind of honorable. Like he said, I think he said a prayer.
Yeah, what he said is, may the Song dynasty endure for 10,000 years or something like that.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Like, well, I mean, but then, you know, when we first see the emperor and the chancellor, you know, he's obviously kind of like this like devil who's kind of, you know, polluting the mind of this young child, and making like, here this governor of Suzhou is coming, putting up 5,000 men. That was so funny.
And on cue, they shall drink the water.
Yes, well done.
The governor of Suzhou, you know, puts up 5,000 men, and like the chancellor's like, is that enough men? And the emperor was like, no. So obviously they've like, you know, had some training, you know, like, which I thought was kind of very despicable again, and very kind of just dark and kind of gruesome-y.
He's got to groom him.
Yeah, so he absolutely was grooming him, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. It makes you think what kind of man that emperor is going to be.
Right.
I mean, maybe if he gets
a very
far enough.
insecure one, I think.
Well, I mean, if he grew, because he leaves emperor, the emperor leaves him with a good thought process of him, of Zhao Sidao. His last moment with Zhao Sidao was something endearing. So whenever you bring up Zhao Sidao to him, he looks at him in a good light.
Absolutely.
So every teaching that he was ever taught by him, he's probably going to latch on to it.
Probably like, that's my father.
Yeah, so that praying mantis thought process, he's probably going to hold that. That's all he needs.
That's true. He was holding on to. We had to come back to the praying mantis with the whole 100 Eyes scenes because you know that moment. Yeah, I know that epic battle between 100 Eyes and Zhao Sidao was insane, just insane.
We got what we wanted. Remember a few episodes ago when they lost the battle, the one thing we critiqued was, man, we didn't see a big battle. We just saw the painting, and we kind of guessed that
we got all
it was all
that
for
we
the last
needed.
episode.
Yeah, we got everything that we needed.
Yeah.
I actually want to talk about Kokochin's virginity test because I thought that was very interesting, and you know. So what did you guys think about that scene?
I thought I was like, Chabi really likes her.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, Chabi doesn't care. Chabi really likes this girl.
Does she like her? Or does she want her, or does she need her?
No, I think she
wants
sees
her close.
Yeah, I think she sees something in her.
Yeah.
I think she sees something in her, and she's not sure if she's like a friend or an enemy. Nah. And either way, she wants to keep her close. So obviously, Kokochin is not a virgin, right? We all kind of agree that she failed the pigeon egg.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she hooked up with Marco.
Yeah.
I think that the Empress assumed that she had some ideas that she'd been fooling around with Marco, but I think that was...
Chabi knows what's up.
Yeah, Chabi knows what's up.
She's been around the block a few times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't mean that in a negative way, but she knows.
And she kind of looks at her like, oh, that's okay that you're not a virgin. You're still going to be my daughter-in-law.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think she's like you have, I think she sees something in her where she's like, there's something about you. You can be a queen. I like you. You got potential, kid.
Right.
So that's what I think it was.
She's like disappointed, but she's kind of like, we're going to work with it.
Yep.
And so Kokachin's helper, servant, is like freaking out because she failed the pigeon test, egg test. She failed the virginity test, and he's like, "Oh my God, this is not good." And then Chabi,
he was stuttering.
Yeah.
The egg.
And then Chabi takes it, and I think what she did is like she must have like cut her or something like that, and drawn
you see
blood.
The egg isn't cracked, so she must have with her fingernail or
like
something
scratched
her
Kokachin,
to draw blood.
Yeah, to draw blood, and then then the servant is like, "Oh, she is pure. She is a virgin."
Did you guys go like cringe as women when that happened? Where you like,
oh yeah, when you watch Kokachin's face, you're just like, "Ow, no, bad news bears."
Yeah, exactly. That is not fun. That is not fun. And then we see Meilin and Ahmed, and their relationship is developing, and he's just kind of getting close to her, and she's kind of getting close to him. She obviously intuitively, or either consciously or not consciously, understands that there's something.
There's something that connects the two of them, which is really interesting, and I'm not sure. I mean, actually, they discussed it before that they're both basically prisoners in this place. But I also think they're both very strong individuals.
Right.
And I think it was interesting to see him talk about, it's rumored in the tea houses that one night with you, and there's nothing more to live for.
Yeah.
And she gets shitty at him, like... We were having a nice moment, and then you had to go and talk about, like, how people are always bragging about how great at sex I am, and maybe I don't want to be that person anymore. Did you ever think about that? And he's kind of like, okay, well, just some people want to be famous. And she's like, well, I don't, so leave it. Like, that's what I felt like was happening, because they're having this conversation, and then you see her literally move away from him and be like...
Well, to me, it kind of felt like she was trying to lure him in. And trying to seduce him. And he was saying, like, hey, I know your game. And she was like, oh, well then. But he was like, but that doesn't mean I don't want to play. So, like, to me, I think he was kind of, like, messing with her mind a little bit.
What was he saying? One night with you and a man drowned himself after? Because it was so good.
It's like, what's the point?
There was nothing else to live for, was what he said.
Euphoria. I'm done.
Like, I'm done. I've fulfilled my life's purpose. I've had sex with Meilin. I can die now. Bye-bye. So, I really liked how... Joshua was talking about the art of war, Sun Tzu's art of war, and really kind of just like, I don't know, I just thought that was really interesting how he was really like getting into the mind of Kublai, and like he was kind of right, in a certain sense, but he never expected those catapults to work, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think he knew they had them. So that was a thing. Like, he knew he had gunpowder, but he did not know that they were going to be able to take down the wall. He thought, okay, sure, they're going to come in 10s, and then we'll pick them off, and then they'll have 4, and then, like, with the arrows and all this stuff. And so he's got it, and you're listening, and you're like, oh snap, like that is what they'll do. And, so I think there's a part of you that's like, I don't know how this battle is gonna go.
Totally. I think we feel that even to like almost the very end. It was very like, oh my gosh, it can go one way or the other. I don't know.
Like when you're waiting for the trebuchets to work.
Yeah.
And the first time it doesn't, and you see Marco and Kublai's face, and
they're
both
just
of them,
like,
their faces just glistening with sweat.
I know.
Like, it's just a Twitch fest.
I know.
Like,
It is a Twitch fest. It is a Twitch fest. I know. And poor Kokachin, because she's like, telling Marco, hey, we gotta go. We have to run away. Like, I'm gonna marry Jingham. And Marco is like,
oh, his face.
Yeah, he's like,
what?
I want to ask you guys something. What did you, when he tells her the reason we can't go, and because we'll get caught and things of that nature, did you think that was his? Because to me, I think he was just saying that as an excuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's
That's
like,
what I
have to stay and win this war.
He's got to stay for him, not for anybody else. At this point, Marco is staying for him because someone died for him to be there. And I think his pride will not let him leave. Like, you see him walk away like, I want to go with you, but I have to do this for me, and I'm going to say it's for us, but it's not.
But
and I think Kokachin understands that.
Yeah.
He was right, though. They would catch them.
Yeah, they would.
But like, I think Kokachin understands that he's saying because he wants to stay. And this is just an excuse. But she's like, okay, fine, like, whatever. And she just kind of leaves.
Fine.
F you, moving on.
She is shitty at him for the rest of the time. Can we just talk about her guard? Her, like, little guard guy? He reminds me of, like, overzealous parking attendants.
You're so right. Yes,
but, like, I've experienced that recently where I go to the studio where I work and go to park, and the guy takes his job so seriously, which is great.
Yeah.
But, like, to an extent where he stresses himself out. And he's like, no, you don't park there.
This
and I'm
can't
like,
happen.
Yeah, and I'm like, no,
it's like, calm down,
I do park
take a
here.
deep
And
breath.
he's like, no. And once they realize it, they're like, okay, fine. Yeah, you can park there. Like, that's how he felt to me. Was like, what are you doing here? Like a big guard dog who's not really, you know, just takes his job way too seriously.
Yeah. Totally.
Like, what's
agree.
in it for him, really? Like,
he's
kind of a
brand
guard
new.
dog.
He's brand new. You know, he's trying to, she might be the next queen. He's trying to, you know, look good for Chubby.
Real intense about it.
Yeah.
I was just like, calm down, bro. You're making yourself look bad, because if you're more calm, we would be like, wow, he's more powerful, but he just looks like... Well, you want to go? And Marco's like, I don't think you want to go with me. Like, I'm going to win. I'm just trying to, like, let Chin know that I love her. And he's like, you step off.
Yeah. I don't think Marco could beat him in a fight, though. Like, I think they're pretty... I mean, even though Marco did show that he could fight in this episode.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know about that anymore. Because, like, we see Jingham, you know, come while... Marco is trying to have this nice conversation with 100 Eyes before they go into this, like, epic battle. And Jingham just out of nowhere is like, not if I can help it. You battle me right now, right before we're about to go into a very intense war. And, you know, it's so childish and it's so ridiculous. But
it's like there can't be an episode without Jingham being a little dick.
I know.
Like, because if you know,
but
you take this
he does redeem himself later.
That's what I'm saying. If you take this out of the episode, he didn't look that bad.
Yeah.
I actually thought when he went to war, he looked pretty cool with his hair done up like that.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Bad.
So that moment where he encounters the Mongols, they're all gathered around and they're chanting the
and he walks up and they are like,
everyone shuts
and
up.
they leave.
I mean, like, he's the prince, so out of respect. And also Jingham has this whole thing where he's kind of not considered like a Mongol. He's more he's perceived of as being very Chinese. And I think him staying with them and being in that Mongol kind of chant was him connecting to that Mongol side of himself. And when he looks up, you know, because they're consistently talking about how Genghis and the sky and the blue sky, like, I think the sky equals Genghis. And so I think he was looking up and really trying to connect with that Mongol part of himself, because he really, you know, wants to be Mongol and he wants to make his father proud. And I also feel like he felt like if they were going to win the war, it was because they're Mongols. You know what I mean?
I think I felt that.
Yeah, and I think the hair signified that, because, like, him putting his hair up was a very Chinese thing. Yeah. You know?
him puffing it out. Like,
but it was nice to see his hair down. I think it did... He started unraveling parts of himself. I think his hair was let down, which was more Mongol. Sitting there was more Mongol. Kimberly made an interesting point. Shout out, Kimberly.
Yeah, shout out Kimberly.
We miss her.
I know
she's doing some amazing table reads right now.
Yes.
But she made a point when we were watching it that later, when you see him fall, that she was kind of reflecting back on that moment with the song, and he's really... in the moment, closing his eyes and being very connected to the music in the moment. But the music in the moment. But she kind of pointed out, like, do you think that he knew that he might have, like, he was gonna die maybe? And
I think he was preparing himself.
I think he was. I think there was a part of him that was going, okay, like, we're gonna go all out. And I think when I initially saw him fall, I was like, he knew. And that's what we both felt, is that he was ready to go
I agree.
for this.
I agree. I do think he was ready. And you're right. Like, when he gets hit with that gunpowder, that black powder, and he, like, just falls back. He's not struggling. He's just kind of, like, accepting.
He looks up at the sky.
Yeah, he looks up at the sky. By the way, this was shot so beautifully. So this last episode was written by, you know, Fusco, and it was shot by John Mayberry. And it was just shot so beautifully. I mean, like, it really just stood out to me this episode.
The choreography of that fight.
Just insane.
Like, the whole battle, but every fight in this was so... Oh, I just was like, that must have been so much work, but so much fun to be a part of. And then I can't imagine what the actors think when they watch it, though, to see themselves move like that and to see it all connected, because it's so different when you're doing it and then when you see it edited together. And so many tiny pieces make up for such a big whole.
I know.
You're like, wow, I'm
amazing.
Awesome. Look at me do this kick. Man, I'm good. Wow.
I think the actor who plays 100 Eyes must know that he's amazing.
A badass?
Yeah, he's so amazing.
Even I love the scene where when they're fighting, when Jingham's fighting against Marco, and then when they stop fighting, 100 Eyes gives him this smirk because I think he was impressed.
You want some tea now?
Yeah, he was impressed with Marco because Marco really he stood up to him. Even Jingham didn't expect that. He didn't expect him to really give him, like, you saw Jingham's face like, oh.
I think people were really surprised overall by Marco this episode.
It's okay.
I think
that's usually me, so I'm glad it didn't happen. I'm just kidding.
I think, the last episode, it was the complete opposite, and he had so much to prove. And I think little by little, you were seeing him step up. And I think it is a similar thing to Jingham in that he's becoming more and more Mongol in a way. And he's really fighting for the right to be a part of this world too.
Absolutely.
Which is really interesting about him and Jingham, because I haven't felt much of a connection with them until this episode. You see so many parallels.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're both kind of doing the same thing for different reasons.
Well, that moment when, Marco is by the tent with Kublai, and one of the soldiers comes and says that Jingham has fallen, and Marco kind of looks at Kublai, he's like, okay, I'm going, and he goes, and he's like you said, I think one of you guys commented, he's wearing no armor at all. He's
just the chintziest armor I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Which made me go like, Marco Polo is badass, and he don't give a shit.
I thought that was a little extra, though, because they really turned him into like an action hero in this.
He kind of was an action hero.
I was into it, though.
I don't think anyone's ever noticed that Marco Polo is an action hero. Like, before the show came out, there's no like history that he's an action hero. Like the guy's
he's a very famous adventurer.
He's awesome in kung fu, cutting people down with like barely any armor.
I know.
Running down.
That was so amazing to see him, and then when he and Bianca look at each other, and they run into the wall.
They're so good together.
I know, you love seeing them together, but I feel like, and I hate to jump ahead, but I feel like I think that there might be a time when they're gonna go head to head.
Yes, Kim said the same thing, and that's gonna be such a bummer.
Oh, it's gonna be such a bummer.
Yeah, that might happen.
Okay, let's save that for predictions. Yeah. But I mean, again, going back to that, be right before the battle, and they're doing the catapults, and Bianca and Marco talking to each other, and Marco's like, hey, that was really cool what you did, standing up for me in front of everybody, and Bianca's like, I just spoke the truth, and he says, I fear what's going to happen if we win the war, not if we lose the war. And I was like,
He's in a rock and a hard place now.
He is.
There was no good solution for him. Yeah, one way or another, he was either going to die or be banished.
Yeah.
But why? I mean, he didn't get married yet. I was confused that he left. Why didn't he just stay?
Because he like we were saying, he doesn't have, what's his place there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who is he to Kublai?
He can't be true.
Kublai doesn't really care about, he's never acknowledged him. He's just kind of just there.
That's true. When was the last, I don't think I don't know.
He's never acknowledged him. Yeah. There's never any sort of moment with Bianca and Kublai. So
I think Marco was a reason for him to be there. And then when you see Marco and Jingham, Jingham's saying the word brother to him. Yes. And Bianca literally is like,
I've lost that too.
Yeah.
Cool. I've lost. Yeah. Marco was my only friend, and now I don't even have Marco anymore.
Or maybe he looks at it like I can leave Marco now because he doesn't need me to survive.
I think that's true.
That is true.
I think there were layers there.
I think
I agree.
He's been accepted. Yeah. He doesn't need me to watch his back anymore.
And now it's time to do something that's going to make Bianca happy.
Yeah.
And I think he feels like he's earned the right to kind of pursue his own happiness, which I think is true. Yeah. And that moment when Kutalin rides up to him and he's coming to them, and then you see, Kaidu kind of looking at them. It was all so very beautiful, and Yeah, lovely.
It was nice. I think Biamba is someone who also has felt like he's had conversations with Marco before of like, run away. Go. Like, what's stopping you?
Exactly.
And I think maybe it's a conversation he has with himself of like, run away, Biamba. Go. What's stopping you?
Oh, projection.
Yeah. And I think he finally...
Holy crap.
I think it's that balance of knowing you want to run, but then feeling like, no, I've got, you know, Marco and my dad to worry about, and, you know, we still got this big goal to accomplish, and now it's like they've accomplished it. His dad doesn't really give a shit about him, and his best friend is okay. He's got a new safety net in the fact that these people, like, Marco saved the day, and so he's golden.
Right.
And so Biamba's like, oh, I guess it's a scary thing when you get what you want, because you're like, I have no reason to stay, but it's hard to leave.
Well, I also feel like Michael, you said this, like you really hope. I think it was you really hope that Biamba's not the bad guy.
Yeah, I was. But that's me overthinking because I'm so used to, you know, you watch these shows where it's the thing you least expect.
But like I don't know. I actually kind of feel like maybe not consciously, but subconsciously. You know how Yusuf was kind of talking about how because he doesn't agree with Kublai 100%, just by that very fact, he can't, you know, he's not fully supporting him. I think maybe Biamba is the same. And so maybe that's why he wants to leave. Yeah.
I mean, but I was afraid that he might have been behind the assassins and all that.
No, I don't think it was like that. Yeah.
Right? It's Ahmed, right?
Yo, yeah, it's Ahmed. Yeah.
Ahmed?
Ahmed. I think that's how you pronounce it.
I call him Ahmed. I call him Ahmed. It doesn't matter.
Ahmed or Ahmed. Like, tomato.
Tomato, chimati.
Yeah, I think in the moment where Jingnam is with the Mongol, you know, chorus, for some odd reason, like it reminded me of Yusuf, and I just felt Yusuf's presence there with, you know, Marco and with, you know, Jingnam. Was it just me? I don't know. I just kind of felt like...
I felt like it was a dingeridoo. You know dingeridoo? Yeah.
The big,
that thing. That's what it sounded
Australian
like. That's an Australian instrument. That's what the music sounded like to me. That's all I was thinking of at the time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was thinking more dingeridoo than Yusuf.
Okay.
But, you know.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, that wasn't in-depth Wikipedia, Wilbert. My bad. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about, so, you know, Kublai is like getting acupuncture. His health just must not be in the best place at all.
He is stressed out.
I know. He is just stressed out, and he's just not feeling very well. And, you know, like, of course, that's why when he finds out that Jingnam went down, he's like, oh my God, this is what it was. This is what that crazy feeling was. But, you know, when we see Marco go into the palace and get into it with Zhao Shidao.
That was crazy to me.
That was crazy.
I was like, run.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think any of us thought he had a chance.
No, I don't think anybody thought it.
Why was he, when he was walking in there by himself, I'm like, dude, you don't have any backup. What are you doing?
I know.
But he also didn't really have anything to lose at that point. He
right.
was like,
you just learned to fight.
Well,
you just learned.
The girl that he loves is going to marry the person he finds the most annoying in the whole world.
That's
Join the club,
true.
Marco.
Yeah.
And so he's like, you know, if he's going to die, he wants to do it in an honorable way because someone did that for him, you know? So I think he walked in kind of like balls to the walls, like, let's go, buddy.
Yeah, like let's just do this.
Yeah. And even Marco is like, just bow to your Khan. Like, I'm so...
I know, it was so interesting though. Yeah, it's so interesting though.
Zhao Shidao, it's like
who is this round-eyed European?
Zhao Shidao is like, you want the Song dynasty, southern China, to bow down to the Mongols, and I'm hearing this from a European. Like, what is your stake in all of this? Here? Why do you care?
He doesn't even go here.
I know.
Exactly. Totally is one of those things. And, you know, still Marco goes for it, and then like Joshua breaks his arm.
Oh, that was awesome.
And you know, does this like weird thing to his neck, which like he kind of like, you know, dislocates a, you know, spine something, and like he's just like kind of stuck there and twitching.
He's like
and
frozen in space, like, oh.
Okay, I'm gonna die now, and then we see 100 Eyes come in, with the
awesome entrance.
Yeah, I know, and he's like, dude, even a blind man can see this is over. Yeah. Like, just take it gracefully, man.
And then we get to round 2.
Yeah.
We get the sequel to their first fight. And
I know.
Oh my gosh, when Hundred Eyes does his little like plucky thing to his arm and puts it back into socket.
That was crazy.
I know.
And then he does his fast motion. You see Zhao Sadal's eyes go so wide, like
it's like that's my thing.
I know that's my thing. That's my thing. I know. He's so angry, and he's like, "How dare you use my praying mantis kung fu?"
Totally.
Like. No, nobody does that.
Yeah.
And so he's like, he gets angry, and you know, like the first kind of rule in any sort of martial arts is you can't be angry. You have to be calm.
He gets emotional.
You know what I mean? He gets emotional.
And it screws him up.
And that's, you know, that's what really kind of shifts the kind of energetic and, you know, upper hand to Hundred Eyes. And like that, it was just crazy. Like the flying and the, you know, throwing and like the flipping and it was just crazy.
And that quick hand motion.
I know.
Like a snake. He's so snake-like, Hundred Eyes.
Yeah, but he's amazing.
I was kind of shocked that I was telling this to you before, that I was kind of shocked that he killed Zhao Sadao.
Yeah.
First, it was awesome the way he did it. It was so quick.
Yeah. But can we talk about the moment, like, right before that happens, where, like, you know, Hundred Eyes, like, does a neck thing, the same thing that Chancellor did to Marco.
Yeah.
So you know, like, he's gonna fall in a second.
Marco, and then Zhao Sadao just gets on his knees.
Yeah.
And he's, like, completely defeated.
Because he knows.
He knows. Like, that he's such an amazing actor. I mean, like, it was just so amazing, like that. It was just so powerful, him just kind of submitting to that, and just falling to his knees, and then
that emotion though paralyzes you, and I think it was kind of crazy that he was even able to be on his knees. It's almost like his will was so strong that he's like, no, I'm stopping here. Like, I can't move, but I'm gonna take this.
Right.
Like a warrior would.
Right.
It was bloody, too. He did it. It was...
Yeah, and then, like, he says, like, he mutters kind of silently, may the Song dynasty endure for 10,000 years, and 100 Eyes just, like, kicks up the knife. He's like, shut up.
Whap. That was crazy.
And then that's it. And then he's just cuts his neck, and that's over.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
quick.
and then he goes and, you know, does Marco's neck.
Yes. He
unparalyzes Marco and sets him straight. And then we see Kublai come in. He sits on the throne. Marco's looking at him like, dude, are you going to look at me? Are you going to smile? Are you going to give me some sort of validation? Are you happy? And Kublai, just like the weird twitchy face thing, he wants to smile, but he doesn't smile.
But he looks at Marco.
Does he look at Marco?
Yeah,
he does. Okay. I watched it twice through because Kimberly said the same thing. She was like, he looked at him. And I was like, no, he didn't.
I wasn't sure.
He's not a smiler.
Yeah, well, so he's like staring and breathing and being crazy. And then his eyes move to Marco and he barely lifts the thing he's holding. And so he's basically been like, we did it.
We did it.
So he's literally given
and now Marco's
Marco
like,
the nod. Yeah.
He's like, I did it.
Yes.
And he's tense as shit this whole episode. Marco's just like, oh my God, I'm
and
die.
He's like so broken and so messed up. He's like, he can barely hold himself up, but he's like waiting for that validation. And of course he gets it. And then, you know, we see him kind of like go to the battlefield and he sees Jingham and he has like that lovely arm-to-arm embrace and Jingham finally kind of gives him validation and calls him brother. And then Bianbo walks away and
looks for Kokochin, right?
Yes, and then Kokochin is gone.
Because I think you said they probably moved her to the...
That was my assumption, is that when you get back to, what's the city? Cambulac?
Cambulac.
Yeah. When they get back there, her room's cleared. It feels empty. And when they pan out from the new city that they've just moved into, you see a bunch of horses and stuff going into the city. So I figured that they're in the process of relocating, basically. That as soon as they got word, they, you know, picked her up and took her because they're like, you're going to marry the prince in the new city.
Right.
And Marco's too late to run back and do whatever I don't know what his plan was exactly, other than to brag about himself.
Right. Which is even more interesting because, you know, Jingham tells Marco, how auspicious was it that I didn't, you know, defeat you? Because what he's saying is, if I would have defeated you, we would have lost a war. Yeah. And so Marco is thinking, I should have killed you because you're taking my woman. Yeah. You know, so it's like, it's going to be really interesting to see how this all pans out. Yeah. And of course, we see Mei Lin is, you know, seductively, you know, seducing the man who brings her dinner, and then she kills him with a needle, and she tries to run away, and then she finds this painting of Ahmed holding Kublai's head and sitting on the throne. And he's like, what do you think about that?
But I just found that so weird that he pretty much painted, even though I know everyone left and they're probably going to another city, but that he painted his plan. I'm like, why would you? You don't know if they're gonna come back. Then why would you want that evidence there? I found that. I mean, I think that was done for dramatic effect, but that was just so. I'm just like,
but it's like his private chambers. Not a lot of people are going in there.
There ain't no privacy.
That's
when
true.
the Kublai wants to come through.
I think, again, it's a part of tying in that history and culture and art and stuff to keep you in the world. And I think it's very theatrical.
That's like his vision board. It's like,
it is his vision board.
And they did it in a cool way of seeing him and then pulling out to see that he's holding the content. And then you see Maylin go, I love it.
Yeah, she's like, I find it exquisite.
Yeah, they both look creepy.
And then it closes.
Yeah, and then
but it's nice because in that 30 seconds you go, cool, I know who the next villain is.
Right.
And I know, like, the drama that's going to happen with Marco, Jingham, and Kokachin. Like, you're all ready to go being like, holy crap, it's going to be such a good second season because they've laid out so many problems.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Already.
So with that, let's roll into predictions.
Okay.
So what do you guys think? Yeah, I have, so obviously I haven't seen the second season either, so I can join in for the real time, for the first legitimate time I can join in. So what do you guys think?
All right, I'm just gonna say I think that it's probably just gonna be it's gonna start off with issues with Kaidu. Is his name Kaidu or does he live in Kaidu?
No,
his name
the
Kaidu?
House of Ogade.
Kaidu. All right.
And his name is Kaidu.
So there's going to be issues with him and Kaidu.
Oh wait, who? Kublai?
Kublai and Kaidu.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And so we're gonna see. I think that's gonna be one of the main plot points. Because I don't think because Ahmed he's still under wraps. No one knows yet.
Right.
I think he's still gonna be doing the same thing. Still gonna be like a snake in the kitchen.
Right.
Kitchen
in the snake. What did I say last time?
No, I think the
kitchen
saying is there's a snake in the garden, but you said snake in the kitchen,
yes,
but it was adorable.
Yes. Oh
so
my gosh.
Yeah, we did. That was my reference to you, June.
Thank you.
But yeah, a snake in the grass. So that's gonna happen, and probably in the middle. Ahmed will do something.
Right.
Oh yeah, I think that they won't go right to it. He's still got some things he has to lay in place for sure.
Ooh, I just got something. I feel like Ahmed is gonna do something to Chabi. And I think it's going to be super sad because I feel like Chabi is going to feel super betrayed. I just had this vision of Ahmed killing Chabi or something, and Chabi just being like, wow.
Or getting Maylin to actually
do it or
finish
something.
her off a second time.
Yeah.
I also think that Maylin is... I think it's being set up to make it look like she's attracted to him, but I don't think it's real. I think that she's in it only to get her daughter back, and that's it.
Right.
I think he's attracted to her, and he wants her to do this with him, but I think she's like, yeah, it's great. Give me my daughter back.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so what about Jingham and Marco? Yeah, head to head.
I think something drama for your mama.
I actually think... Wait, what do we say? Marco and Biamba, right? Something's going to happen between those two, and I think it's going to be super tragic. I think we're going to cry next season.
I think that's going to happen towards the end. I think that they're going to have to go head to head for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason. I don't know.
I hope not. I miss that. I want to see more. I like their tag team.
Yeah, I know, me too, but I feel like that's what's going to make it more tragic, is that we love them together, and yet...
But they've set it up now that Biamba's in a different place.
Biamba's house Ogade
are now very different.
And Marco's house Kublai, you know? So with that, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us, you guys, for this amazing season of Marco Polo.
That's it.
It feels like the last day of school.
I know.
We're gonna miss you, but
we will miss you.
Excited to see
Absolutely.
you when we come back.
We will be back. There will be a season 2.
It was renewed.
Yes. In the meantime, stay connected with us. Tweet at us. You guys can find me at ms_JuneLee on Twitter and just ms_JuneLee on Instagram.
And you can find me at Katie Wilbert on Twitter, Instagram, everything else in the world.
Yes.
And that's Facebook too, right?
Yes.
That's Facebook.
Tinder?
The website.
Tinder?
I am not on Tinder.
Oh, my goodness.
Michael Andrew. You can find me on Twitter, Michael_Drew, Michael EAL. Instagram, straight across, Michael Drew.
Yes.
email. Mike, no, all right, that's it.
Just stay connected with us, you guys, and we'll miss you, but we'll see you for season 2.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes, bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.